It's billed as one of the most important diplomatic meetings in world history. Leaders and their minions from 130 countries gathered in Glasgow, Scotland this week for the COP26 Global Climate Summit. Event host British Prime Minister Boris Johnson warned that humanity has run down the clock when it comes to climate change, and the time for action is now. Well, joining us with more is C02 Coalition Executive Director Gregory Wrightstone. He's the best-selling author of Inconvenient Facts, the science that Al Gore doesn't want you to know. Okay, Greg, the clock has run down. We're all doomed. The time for action is now. What action should we take?
We should welcome the warmth and the additional CO2. What we see here at the C02 Coalition is that the modest warming that we've seen since the turn of the century, it's 0.8 of a degree, doesn't sound too alarming to me, combined with increasing CO2 is leading to an Earth that's thriving and prospering. Ecosystems are thriving, and the human condition and humanity are benefiting from this. It's completely at odds with what we're being told. We're being fed a bill of goods about the non-horrific consequences of this modest warming.
Why is that? Why is that, Greg?
That's a good question. Why are they doing that? And as a scientist and the scientists here at the CO2 Coalition, we can provide you with the facts. We can provide you and say, okay, Gary, this is what they're telling you, and this is what the facts really are. And it's on so many different levels: fires, hurricanes, tornadoes, dangerously rising sea levels. All of these, when you look at the data, is contrary to what we're being told in the media. And what they're doing, these are what they're proposing over in Scotland right now are crippling. They'll be economically crippling to the United States and to the Western developed nations. I think the biggest story, Gary, that we have coming out of this COP26 in Glasgow is the big story is who's not there and who is thumbing their nose at it. It's Russia. Putin's not going. He's not even going to dial in for a Zoom call. President Xi of China's not going. And Prime Minister Modi, which this takes the cake, and you just shake your head. He attended. He has no interest at all in reining in his carbon dioxide emissions. He agreed yesterday and announced in the morning that India was going to go to net zero by the year 2070, 50 years in the future. These three leaders have a great understanding of how you get a vibrant, dynamic, growing economy, and that's by providing their three descriptors I like to use for electricity generation. It should be reliable, abundant, and affordable. None of those three descriptors can be used to describe solar or wind-generated electricity. Unreliable.
The general director of the IAEA was basically pushing nuclear energy. He suggested nuclear power should be considered as, quote, an indispensable element to the mix. Now, it wasn't that long ago, if you remember, environmentalists opposed, successfully prevented the construction of more nuclear power plants. So your thoughts about that?
I like nuclear as an abundant resource. France certainly has embraced it. Somewhere between 70 and 80% of France's electricity is derived from nuclear. Germany, though, the great example, Germany's gone the other way. We need this fossil fuel-fired energy. We need nuclear. And after you've already abandoned that and blown up your nuclear facilities and blown up the coal-fired electricity plants and destroyed them, it takes many decades to rebuild that. We can't turn it back. You can destroy it pretty quickly, but you're not going to be able to, once you realize the stupidity and the error of your ways. I fear for America. I fear for the Western world. But once again, China, Russia, India, two of the three top emitters, they're not playing the game. They're thumbing their nose at it at Glasgow and COP26.
And they're moving full steam ahead, are they not? So Gregory Wrightstone, CO2 Coalition Executive Director, author of Inconvenient Facts, the science that Al Gore doesn't want you to know. Thank you, Greg. We appreciate you.
Thank you.